So when you're younger in the strongman, you set a goal of world's strongest man. How far away was you at that point to achieving that? Is that like, are you doing that as like a visualization technique or like?
Yeah, I guess I set that kind of goal was back in 2011 when I set it. So I gave myself 4 years to get to world's strongest man, and you know it was always in the back of my mind, and I just focused on obviously doing what I needed to get there, but not rushing. So you know I took my time with it. I put on weight slowly, just because I wanted to get to world's strongest man by 2015. I didn't want to get there the next year, so I did everything quite slowly and competed in various competitions in the open class, still at around 110 kilo body weight a lot of the time, competing with the opens. 2012 I won UK Strongest Junior, so that's an under 23 category. And then 2014 I had my big break. UK Strongest Man that year I got second behind Eddie Hall, and a Luke Stoltman in third as well. So yeah, we can see we've been competing together a long time. And after that second place, I got a call from Colin Bryce inviting me to go and do a Giants Live at the back end of 2014. And you know what, it's funny, we still chat about it, myself and Colin still chat about that initial kind of phone call, because I was tired. I was really tired. I had a full year competing. I'd finished the UKs and it was kind of start of September time, and I just wanted to look forward to an off season. And he was inviting me to a Giants Live at the start of November in Sweden. Initially I was kind of like, I started on the call like, I don't know, I'm gonna have to start like training again. And then I kind of like heard myself saying it. It's like, of course I'm gonna take this opportunity to go and compete internationally at Giants Live. And yeah, I mean, thank God I did, because these chances don't come around often. You get the call to compete on one of these shows and you need to be ready to go. And competed out at Sweden and had a stellar first international competition. I think I got 4th place in a stacked international field as this skinny kid with a massive head. And it was fantastic going out there and competing against like Brian Shaw, Johannes Ahu. It was absolutely incredible, and to get 4th place, and then Brycey tell me, yeah, you'll be getting an invite to World's Strongest Man in April, was unbelievable.
I want to go on to World's Strongest Man, like this, like allure of it, but firstly, to have that self-belief early on, like the way you're speaking is a bit like your parents are athletes. Sounds like you've had that self-belief from quite a young age anyway. How important is it for somebody to like become successful in anything, even outside of strength sport, to have that self-belief?
100%. If you can't visualise yourself achieving your goals, then you'll never achieve your goals. Everything starts in the mind. Like if you have to believe truly in your heart that you will achieve what you want to do, whether that's achieving the grades you want to in school, or getting to a certain level in business, or closing a deal that brings in X amount of money. If you don't believe it's going to happen, if you can't visualise that process and what it actually feels like as well, which is something that I did quite a lot, is when I'm using imagery in my mind, I'll actually see myself there competing or achieving my goal, but also focus on that feeling of how will it feel to achieve my goal, and that creates a pretty strong bond. That link between the two is getting an emotional link to achieving your goal is hugely important. I think that's what drives people, and if people want to achieve their goals, whatever it may be, if it's a sporting goal or whatever, then the first step is believing in themselves and imagining themselves achieving their goal.
So yeah, I mean, we talk about it a lot, like visualization. I don't know if you would use that terminology, but like we like really believe in almost like the smells, of when you're stood on that stage. So World's Strongest Man, obviously there's this big thing about winning World's Strongest Man. So if you could talk about that, it would be amazing. But have you been there yet, like in your head, like holding that trophy?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a strange one, like my initial goal, another thing with goals, obviously, you might have the ultimate goal, but you have to break them down into shorter, more achievable goals, short term. Otherwise, you'll always be fantasizing about the end goal and not actually focus on the climbing the ladder to get to that goal. If you just dream about reaching the stars but don't focus on building the rocket ship, then you're never going to get there. So my first obviously goal was to compete at World's Strongest Man in 2015, and I got there and it was like crazy. I was in this amazing group. Big Z was walking around looking massive. Brian was in my group. Obviously Eddie had been competing as well, and yeah, I was like a fish out of water in my first year. And that's when, as soon as that finished, I was like, right, that goal's done. Now I've got to win this competition. That's the next goal. Make the next ladder. So it's like I've just kind of had to reset all my goals that I've been working towards for 5 years, because now the real work begins, and I've got to start again in kind of building towards this new goal. And that's World's Strongest Man, you know. And yeah, as soon as that happened, I had that goal of being World's Strongest Man, but I couldn't really place myself there for a long time. The first time, you know, I suffered from confidence issues, in all honesty, some anxiety at certain competitions. You know, sometimes, especially at Europe's Strongest Man, one time I just didn't want to be there. I just got so nervous. And it wasn't until the World Tour final in 2018 that I actually started to believe in myself, you know. And that competition was a big breakthrough competition for me. You know, I got my first podium at an international show, and Kieliszkowski was first, Martins Lisses was second, and it was me. And I beat a huge stage, including kind of Big Z, Iron Bibi, all these guys, Janashia, and I won that show. I came third in that show. And the most annoying thing in my brain happened, but obviously I was there. The points are really close. We're going in, and I'm in third place, going into the stones. And in my head, I'm thinking, right, don't fuck this up, okay? Make sure you get the podium. In reality, what I should have been thinking was, right, go out there and attack and get this first place and try and go for the win. And afterwards, you know, after I got obviously I was really happy with getting that first podium. And I was like, man, I'm on the edge here of winning shows, you know? I need to now, that was the first time I could actually see myself and picture myself on the top of the podiums, both at kind of World's Strongest Man, Britain's Strongest Man, you know, Europe's, etc. That's when I could start actually seeing myself achieving it. Is after that kind of moment there of going, okay, you've done all this now you can be on like full attack mode.
So have you, in your head, have you held the trophy yet? Have you been to that place yet?
Yes, yeah. So in my head, I've seen myself on top of that podium, and you know, I've seen holding that massive trophy, etc., and everyone kind of looking at you and stuff. And I've seen that in my mind, and it's just kind of now climbing the ladder to actually achieve that.
So what does it, for a normal person, like, just explain what the World's Strongest Man title would be to somebody?
Oh, it's everything. I mean, World's Strongest Man, the title is like, you know, the gold medal at the Olympics for the 100 metres. You know, it's like lifting the World Cup in football. It's like lifting the Super Bowl in American football. You know, it's the pinnacle of our sport, and to be able to call yourself the undisputed World's Strongest Man is everything for strength athletes. You know, even guys who compete in weightlifting and powerlifting, you know, they still kind of look at that World's Strongest Man title and wish it was them. You know, and that's a big thing. And it's not just the kind of like kudos that comes with it. It's more the sense of achievement that how many years you've put in, because you know, strength doesn't come easy. You know, it takes a long time to develop. It costs a lot of money to develop if you account for all the food we have to eat and the hard times you have to endure. And you know, it's more of I see it as more of a getting that World's Strongest Man title is like a realisation of all your hard work and effort over the years.